So we're back with the Certifiably Milk Crate Show with a certifiable Baltimore legend. My childhood friend, Tony Pegas. So many words to describe this guy. DJ, entrepreneur, club king, kingpin, acid kingpin of Baltimore, pre-rave, rave pioneer. Just a character. Just a be more character. And I want to get into the early days of Baltimore, what it was like coming up for pre-DJs, DJs that didn't exist, club music that didn't exist, electronic scene that didn't exist, how this guy wrangled it, developed it, and created a scene, created a world for him and his friends that didn't exist. So Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
The early days of Baltimore. We grew up not too far away from each other. What was your childhood like? What were you like as a kid? Musical taste, before you got into DJing, what were you like?
I grew up in an Irish Catholic neighborhood. My father was from Brazil. Our neighborhood was kind of on the mix between the black and white neighborhood. It was really cutting there. Definitely a tough neighborhood. My musical influences, I mean, as long as I can remember, I was going to some kind of club. If it was with my family, going to a couple times Brazilian clubs. We used to do the German polka clubs. And then I started collecting records about like 12. And that was it. It was on. When I was 12, my parents got divorced. And that was a huge change in my life. So music filled that gap for me. That's where I hid in my music.
Wasn't your dad a musician or in a band or something?
Not my dad, but my grandfather wrote a couple polka songs. My mom played a timpani drum, I think the accordion. One of my uncles played the drums. My grandfather also used to be in charge of the parades for the city of Baltimore.
Wow.
So I had a lot of band kind of experience. Anytime there'd be a parade, we would wind up somewhere in Highlandtown listening to the Mummers after a parade. So
the Mummers was the band that your grandfather was in?
No, he was in it. The Mummers are a Philadelphia string band. They would come and perform in these beautiful costumes. And so it was always...
polka or German?
I think it would probably be... We used to go to a German club, so it was probably German polka.
Gotcha.
But he's an Irishman, so...
Oh, there was German polka?
But we used to go to it's called Blob's Park. I think it was out in Randallstown, maybe area. It closed like a long time ago, but it was music and dancing and I never forget the first 45 that I bought was Depeche Mode, People Are People. And it just, something about it, it just really like had meaning.
First cassette?
Man, I can't even remember first cassette. Yeah, I don't even think I bought cassettes very much. It was 7 inches. I collected those for a little while. Still have them. They're going to be shipped one day back to Pasadena, along with about 20 other crates.
Parents' musical collection, what kind of vinyl was around the house, other than German polka?
The stuff my grandfather used to listen to was like Lawrence Welk. My dad used to listen to like Brazil 66. So there's a variety. My sister listened to rock. She was a rocker. Mm-hmm. Still is. She plays the drums. Her husband plays guitar. I think both their kids play guitar. My brother, whose house we're at now, used to play the bagpipe.
Wow.
And his son plays piano very well. So yeah, we have music in our blood.
Definitely a musical family. I mean, I could tell you, I don't know anybody that could tell you what one artist that their grandparents listened to. So
yeah,
good for you. I mean, I think that's a sign of music in the family.
For sure.
And so Grandpa was to tour around here or there. What did he play again? Was he what?
He didn't play any instruments. He was a
singer.
No, he was a politician.
So he wasn't in a band.
He wasn't in a band. Okay. No, he was an organizer.
Okay, good. So behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Very cool.
He could talk to people. He could talk to anybody, and that's where I get the gift of gab from, for sure.
And did he happen to organize the I Am an American Day parade?
He did.
Remember that one?
That was his parade.
It's funny because there's a photo that came in a book from when I was a kid at the I Am an American Day parade on what's the street that divides Patterson Park? Remember? It's like I can't remember.
Patterson Park Avenue.
Two parks.
The two parks. Right, that was right there. That's where the bandstand always was. Right there.
Remember. So there's a photo in a fairly famous Baltimore early '70s book, 1979. Me, my grandparents, at the I Am an American Day parade, and I always wondered, what the hell was that parade, and how come there are no? When did it stop? When did stuff like that stop? Because that was very like Americana, early childhood Baltimore memories for me. That obviously I don't think there's an I Am American Day parade anymore in Baltimore.
I don't think there is one. I definitely think this country could use one.
I mean, that used to be big stuff,
Big stuff, because people used to be really proud to be American.
Yep.
Now things are very split. Who'd you vote for?
Yeah.
What does that matter?
You're still an American.
I'm American,
you still have to live here.
One thing I definitely notice is people, if they have any other ethnicity, they're like, I am Irish American, I'm Mexican American, African American. It's Americans from another country, we're American first. So, yeah, I'm not sure where the disconnect started.
What other parades did he do? Any bigger?
Maybe the Preakness.
Okay.
Maybe the St. Patrick's Day.
Gotcha.
I don't remember those.
Yeah, I can't remember any other parade.
But the American Day was right down.
Yeah. At Patterson Park.
Right at Patterson Park,
that was the only reason I know that, because that photo, and I always wondered, what was the origin of that? So crazy that your grandfather was full circle on that one.
Very much.
And then so, everything okay? Okay. So, early Tony Pegas, what was he like? I have a feeling you were a little mastermind. Were you fighting? Were you
always getting in fights?
Were you bartering, buying, selling things?
I think I got arrested for graffiti, even though I can't even write graffiti.
What were you writing?
I didn't. I just had a marker in my pocket.
What kind of marker, you remember?
Yeah, probably a Sharpie.
Okay.
Probably to write on a record. But we were downtown. I was 13, and my friend got caught writing on City Hall, and I got tied in with it.
What was he writing, buddy?
I don't even remember.
Wow.
But
then you got out of graffiti real quick.
So yeah, I mean, I can't draw stick people, so I mean, I'm learning, but it's a little late for that now. I'm not gonna be bombing things.
Yeah.
But meaning spraying graffiti. Nowadays you have to clarify because you wind up getting pinched for something else, especially with my jacket.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Did you? You made up for your graffiti, your lack of graffiti, with your friendship and potential partnership with the Baltimore legendary king of all graffiti, Frankie
Absolutely.
Arthur, Shake and Jam One, who I gotta have on this show at some point.
Absolutely,
because I had no idea that you and him, like in my life, that was a different department.
For sure.
I had no idea you guys shared the same department in a lot of ways. You guys were big. Like I just didn't know that.
We knew each other. I remember.
How did you meet Frankie?
Probably a Signal.
Okay.
And
any idea of the year?
have to be 88 or 89, somewhere around there. I just remember it's before I got banned from Signal. I was there and somebody was running at him, looked like they were getting ready to hit him. And I was like, yo, Frank, watch out. And then, so the guy hit me, and I never carried a gun, but I did carry mace, and I lit the place up so I could get out. And I was working at Odell's at the time, and somehow got up the alley, ran into some guy's car. They were going to kill me. To the doorman saw me and grabbed me inside and dunked me in a trash can full of ice to get the mace off me. And then I got somebody came and picked me up. But that was like, we got pretty tight after that, because like,
Well, that's a good story.
it was rough. It was rough. Baltimore was a tough town.
God knows how much beef Frank had, more beef than anybody on earth.
Yeah, for sure.
A good macing story. I always love a good. I had my mace. Everyone had their mace.
Everybody had mace.
I maced up Orpheus one night. But let's jump back. Early Baltimore clubs when you were a kid coming up. What were some of them? Because you predate me in that you were going out dancing. You were going out listening to music. Where were you going as a kid? At
First place that I went to, my parents were still together because my father insisted that I go as a chaperone for my sister, and that was Maxwell's, and that was out in like Parkville Shopping Center. That was so that was in Parkville Shopping Center, and the music was very mixed. It was like a mix between rock, like super early electronic. It was strange.
DJs mixing or no? Records
Yeah, they were blended. It's the beginning of the blend.
And who was there like a guy who was kind of popular DJ up there? Who was like, you know?
Well, the people that I knew from there were Jeff Hart and Joe Pastorio, and eventually we started working with Meltdown. Jeff rented me some sound system and a system for a while, and then he moved to Florida. But Joe stayed with me for Odell's and then Orpheus, and then when I left Orpheus, he stayed there for a while. But he also worked on a rock and roll radio station, like a low digit radio station that was up on Blair Road. It's like, you never would imagine it, but it's like you go in this little basement, there's a little tiny studio. It was very cool. He would also do a lot of he would be the guy that introduced bands at the Civic Center. So he had his own little area of what he liked. Mine was definitely more electronic. When like 88, 89, you start seeing a lot of like Nine Inch Nails. Don, my partner in Gargoyle Records, he had opened up for Nine Inch Nails way back in the day, like their first tour or something. And then Don was a producer and I was a DJ, so he would come to play tapes for me, and he moved back and forth between Baltimore and LA, Miami. Now he lives in Redondo. But yeah, he's the one that got me into bringing it to the studio, just as like a DJ's perspective. And that was really cool. I really learned a whole lot, got a different perspective of making music. And for then on, I looked at things in that way, like how, I need to make some records. We need to make records.
Well, you had. I want to go slowly chronologically a little bit. So we're at Maxwell's.
Maxwell's is way back.
What are you wearing? You got your jeans are rolled up in a little.
I don't even remember what I wore. I don't even remember
the jeans. Remember that?
I do. I don't even remember what I wore because that was. I hate it. I was like, why do I have to go? I didn't want to go.
You were chaperoning, but when did you get into you put me on to? I didn't even remember the power plant had a club.
Yeah,
I had no idea, and it had multiple rooms.
Maxwell's kind of closed down, and then Power Plant, and then PT Flags.
So
PT Flags. That was my Sunday night.
And these were teen parties, right? basically.
Yeah, Sunday night was,
Right.
and they had like 4 or 5 different rooms, and one room was like a radio pop, like Yaz and Men Without Hats, just kind of poppy, trendy, Devo maybe, and then they had upstairs, which was the power core, and that was more like industrial, harder. But that's where electronic really started. You know, it's like from that kind of electronic. It really started to change the style of music, and that
Mostly coming out of where? What country? England?
Chicago, Detroit, yeah, like Wax Trax records.
These are the hard industrial things that you guys used to play when I would go all night. And I'm listening. As a hip hop kid, I'm like, what in the God name? I just got hit in the head with a pile driver for the last 3 hours.
Yeah, like Ministry when it first came out, that was like a kind of electronic, you know, like Every Day's Like Halloween, like that was like, and then it changed. Then it got guitars, and then the sound really changed. That wasn't really my thing.
I remember your industrial nights. Where was your industrial nights? At Orpheus?
Probably at Orpheus, yeah.
What was it? What was it? That had to be a Sunday if I was.
That was a Sunday, yeah. So I did Odell's on Saturdays, and that was 18 and up, bring your own.
Right.
And yeah, karting was pretty light.
And you guys would go from what time to what time spinning?
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
10 to 4.
And then.
And you and who? Who was it? Who used to spin?
Joe Pastorio for a while.
Okay.
And then Jeff for a very short bit, but he moved out of town or something.
So you would do most of it yourself?
Yeah, we kind of bounced back and forth. Joe played a little bit more of the trendy stuff. I played a little bit more of the underground stuff. It really diversified our crowd. I also used to do a lot of high school dances, and I played what I played. I didn't I don't play MC Hammer.
You know, you didn't play Doing the Butt?
No, that's not. Yeah.
No hip hop with you, right?
Maybe a little bit, like Cypress Hill and Beastie Boys,
the guys that ended up on the people who ended up on Lollapalooza, ironically, were the ones that you were okay with.
For sure, you know, and then it was really a mix between like, you know, Cypress Hill and then Nirvana and then.
But this is like the high school dance. Because I have memories of you, and I've probably seen you as a kid spin hundreds of times. I mean, before you knew me, I can still visualize you up in that little booth at Orpheus, right? With like, with the dance floor, with the speakers and the smoke, and your little face with the hat or whatever hat you were always wearing, with some like weird ravey graphic on it. And this is pre-rave, right? Yeah. This is, and you're up there just like all night long. But it was where you went. Yeah, that was where the kids were.
And then I
didn't hear a song I recognized. I couldn't tell you. Anytime I heard you, never knew a song because I just wasn't of that world, right? I'm either club music or hip hop, and you were coming from a whole nother. It was amazing because you were coming from a whole other dimension. Yeah, you might as well have been an alien. I still feel like you might be.
Yeah, maybe. One of the things that really worked for me is somebody told me, "Hey, anytime you get those little papers in a record, fill it out and send it back in." So I used to send them in, and I had a fax machine like in high school. So I would send faxes out, and then I had a club. Well, my club did almost 700 people every week for like 5 years. So people, when I tell somebody from a label that, they're like, okay, give me your address. And then I got into rock pool, and that kind of really opened things up. That was...
I don't think anyone has any idea what a DJ record pool is. So let's explain to the phenomenon of that, what that is, a DJ record pool.
So the monthly fee was about, I think it was like $175.
That's a lot.
And I would get 2 boxes of records a month, but I would get 40 or 50 records, and it was US and imports. So that really gave me the global perspective, because I was getting stuff I didn't even know where to get.
Yeah, because where could you get that? It was 12-inch dance records. What were the real quick? What were the clubs other than Maxwell's? Real quick, anything else pre your stuff? It was a PT Flag.
Sure.
PT Flag.
PT Flag.
What
So
else?
I also used to go see Scott Henry at Calvert Street Cafe.
Okay.
And
what was that like? What was he playing?
he was
this is the early days
He was
of
playing
Baltimore.
like some industrial stuff.
Right, him too. Yeah.
Meat Beat Manifesto, DJ
More stuff. I had
DJ
no idea.
Zero, Consolidated is an industrial, and I would also go to Chicago's in DC. We would go here industrial, like Wednesday night was like industrial night. So other nights I was going to DC. I was going to Fifth Column like Mondays, Michael Meacham, tracks on Thursdays sometimes. So I was getting a variety of different styles. And there's just something about the electronic that really caught me.
Do you credit the vein of, even when you're talking on industrial electronic, to EDM? Did that went all
Definitely.
the way up? That was the whole same road, right?
Definitely.
So we're talking pre-everything electronica. Early days of electronica.
Yeah, and then you have stuff coming out of Chicago and Detroit, which is more house. And that was, easily you could come hear me at night and you would hear a plethora of different styles. Nowadays, DJs don't play like that. They play one style, and that's probably all they know.
What other spots, any other PT Flags, just for the history of early Baltimore?
Sure.
I think it's a testament to how musical Baltimore was, right?
Yeah.
Us coming up, how musical it was, that you could go hear this early unknown genre of industrial or even house in Baltimore. It was a musical town.
For sure.
It was a music town when we were kids in the 80s.
Yep.
Right? A lot of artists came through, a lot of bands came through. You had Hammerjacks. Do you remember any early live shows that you went to?
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember seeing Consolidated.
Even any first Baltimore Civic Center big whatever show, rock show, headbanger show? No, that was a big scene, right?
We would always camp out in Columbia to go to Merriweather, to go see like Depeche Mode, The Cure. That's where Depeche Mode had Nitzareb. Nitzareb wound up playing for me at Odell's. That was a really good show.
And what early Baltimore record stores were you going to?
First, I used to go to Vinyl Discovery. That's probably my first record store. And that was more rock, more industrial, Sisters of Mercy, like...
Where was that
Clan of Zymox. That was on Blair Road out by the Frankfurt, maybe. It's out there. And then 12-inch dance. When 12-inch opened up, it cracked open the scene.
Tell me the early days of 12-inch, that whatever history you know on it.
Well, there were several different DJs that worked there, and each one kind of specialized in like a different style. So I would go see one person, they were like, hey, you want to check this. And I had never experienced a record store that was like that they had a DJ and they had somebody that kind of knew your taste. Eventually, these guys knew me, and I would come in, they would be like, here, I got a stack for you. Their first Meltdown parties were upstairs of 12-inch dance.
How did that ever happen? Because, who owned 12-inch?
I forgot the guy's name. But they also had a store in DC.
They did.
Yeah.
And I remember. I
forgot the guy's name.
Was it the Basement Boys worked there or no? One or two of them?
One of them worked there.
Who else? Do you remember any other DJs that were in there?
Michael, he had long hair. Reggie worked there.
It was a great record store, great location, great sound
Nikki,
system.
the blonde hair Nikki that was with Tony Japson. But a very great combination of style. You could go in there, you could get house, a little bit of techno. It's very good. And they would start doing they would do charts. So different people would do charts. And one of the things for Rockpool is they also published like a monthly book, and it had charts of all their DJs. So in Philadelphia, it's Josh Wink. In LA, it's Doc Martin. I think Debo up in Boston. Different DJs, and a lot of those DJs you see pop up in the early rave scene. Rockpool was Mr. Clean, Jonathan Kadish, and Scott Richmond. Eventually, they did Satellite Records, and they had in New York, and then they had Atlanta. I know Atlanta for sure. I'm not sure if they had any other stores. Bobble wound up working at the Atlanta when he moved from Baltimore down to Georgia. But it's a really good stores. They get very, very knowledgeable. The other store that I used to go was Sound of Baltimore 2, and Warren. I would go over there, and he would let me look at the sheets, and I would order from the sheets and order a couple other things. It didn't really work there, but I kind of would go there like on Fridays or Saturdays and play for a little bit before I would get my set, check out my new music. But modern music, it just opened up. So we at Odell's, we had done a couple signings there where the band would go there
Shout out to Joe DiCarlo.
Joe and Chris, for sure. They definitely held it down. After 12 Inch left, that was the spot, and then Chip, and then Charles, and then Chris Bulla, they all worked there, and they definitely held it down for sure.
Who was the first, any local DJs on your radar that you didn't know? Like, one that was big to me, that was, like, you were big, but then there was Bob the Equalizer.
Okay, I remember Bob.
Who was kind of a bit like you, a bit in a way, but it's a different scene, right? Like,
it's a totally different scene.
What do you know about Bob the Equalizer? Like, how would you describe him? How would you describe his relevance historically in Baltimore? What did he do?
Well, he did have that one record, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a hit. It's probably still a
I Got the Rhythm.
I Got the Rhythm, yeah.
When that record came out, was it on your radar? Were you like, shit, this is cool?
I played it for sure.
Okay.
And then also like Frank Ski.
What was your thoughts on, Frank Ski in general?
Definitely very unique style of radio. Always super, like, it's to me, it seemed like way more professional than where I was, because he was a little bit older and he had a radio job. And the big record I played to him was like Yo-Yo Trap, hold up. Like.
Which is a Chicago record, I think, right?
I'm not sure. But it's his, he was on it,
Oh, well, he was on Yo-Yo Trap?
I think that's him, Frank Ski.
Is it?
I think so,
okay,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Or at least a mix of his or something,
he
right?
probably broke it. That's definitely a record. Frank was...
No, like a remix or something.
Oh, was he really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, he might.
At least in my head, I have that associated with that.
Did you tune into V103 or that was just
I would
not
always
your
listen.
thing?
Dude, those Baltimore breaks, like, I play breaks. Like, if I didn't hear that, I probably wouldn't.
He was such a... I don't know, it was like the mix at 7 or whatever it was on V103, and it was... he was just playing all kinds of shit.
All kinds.
House.
Yeah, definitely.
It was the formula for what became...
Yeah.
Who do you when Baltimore Club, right? It came... What is your Baltimore Club origin story? Who do you credit with
Wow.
You call it Baltimore Breaks, are you Baltimore Club and Baltimore Breaks?
It's similar, yeah. That break.
And like, I know Charles Fields went in deep on that and incorporated a lot of those. He used to go to Music Liberated. Yeah. He was calling it Booty House and playing all over the place.
Yeah. So techniques work there. So he definitely has it.
Yeah, techniques and booty. And so who would you credit as like Baltimore Breaks? The local.
It was definitely
the local guy. If they had to be a museum with a picture of this guy, who's the important guy?
Several of them. It's usually the people that worked at record stores.
Right.
So if you worked at a record store, do
they have to make the first record? How would you define important or originator? And you were around, but what's interesting about you, like it wasn't 100% your thing, right? But you were there to know. For me, it's interesting to you because I feel like whoever is in your consciousness might be the one, because you weren't paying attention to the minutia. They had to be kind of the one that really caught your attention in your world, because you were kind of in a little bit of a different world.
Yeah.
And you know who you would think would be important.
Well, I definitely saw some of the other DJ working at Odell's, which was mainly a black, long-standing, black-owned and operated nightclub. One of the best sound systems that I've ever played on.
You would go
Richard Long sound system.
Would you go on other nights, right? Would you go on?
I've been to other nights, yeah, for sure.
So who was this? Sean Marshall, Scott?
Sean, yeah, for sure, he was there. Pope and OG played there also.
Very
a little bit more
housey,
house.
yeah.
But they also had that Morgan State radio and lock, which is a record store radio. That,
and I mean, the fact that you had all these lanes of different dance music is crazy.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But what was Sean Marshall playing?
It just that the Baltimore
The
Club.
Club stuff,
Yeah,
which at those days was could have been a UK import.
It could have
right?
been, yeah.
It could have been a
you
Miami bass record. It could have been
definitely
a Masters at Work. That formula,
You
right?
definitely
That
don't
early.
really know, yeah.
And then the first, so you, in your mind, the first local pressing was I Got the Rhythm. That
probably.
caught your attention.
Yeah,
Is that like, were you
definitely.
like, oh shit? Or were you like, oh, this is cool?
I would think it's like, wow, it's a
Because you
different
weren't
sound.
making records yet. No one was making records
we
yet.
didn't start. Gargoyle didn't come out until 95.
So if we had to say, now I know Bob the Equalizer
He definitely
is up there.
He's up there. with
And he
the
doesn't get
beginnings.
any dap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he came and went. He put out a ton of records. I don't know.
Yeah.
He had breakbeats and bullshit. He had all those vinyl acapellas and weird white labels and stuff. But he had a couple of SOS. Did you get that
Song
second
of
Sound of
Silence,
Silence?
yeah.
Was fuck. There was some killer shit on there.
Yeah.
Which I found to be just, I love everybody's records. His had a unique, because he was coming from so many different musical places. And you know what's interesting about him? His mother used to do the Mayfests and all those fests whenever they would shut down Eastern Avenue all the way through Hollandtown. And my first DJ gig was obviously knowing him from Howard Street. One day I come around the corner and I hear booming of music booming around, but you know, the 7-Eleven on, I'm not Howard Street, Eastern Avenue. I come around the corner from my house, Mayfest, I didn't even know. I'm following this boom, boom. The bank parking lot across from like Value Village.
Yeah.
He's got the whole parking lot. Community speakers, remember the big community speakers? He's got his own setup, him in Class.
Okay.
Him and DJ Class, before they both worked at the record store together. And he's like, get on. I'm like, what? I mean, I was like 13, 12. Like I could kind of. He's like, get on. And I'm like, and it's like it was packed. They had like a beer, wet t-shirt contest, beer garden, DJ party in the bank parking lot. This is like prime time craziest. I get on, I put on two third bass Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to run it, and everyone's like, I'm just like this little tiny kid. It was like a freak show, and everyone loved it. And it was just like, I remember that night I went home, I could not sleep. I was so adrenaline rush. So Bob, I credited Bob with a lot. Bob, you'd see me, he would pick me up, drop me off at he'd drive me home from inner city. I mean, I spent a lot of time
inner city.
on those record stores for
Inner
me.
City, and then you got Scotty B and Techniques. Those guys definitely held up.
I Got the Rhythms, technically Scotty B and DJ Equalizer.
Okay.
As the artist.
Nice.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, those, and then you got Tap.
You were playing Angel X B-side.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
No, but Tap was great too. Rest in peace, Tap.
Yeah.
You have an unreleased Tap song.
I do.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, it's on ASR 10 discs. I'm working on getting them converted right now because I got the unreleased Tap song.
I'd love to hear that. What was in it? You told me a little bit.
Love the ladies, fuck the hoes, slap the bitches. That's how it goes.
Tap is musical, man.
He was very musical. And if you ever seen him dance, you know why they call him Tap.
What was his big record? I have it somewhere.
Oh,
it wasn't Tap Where the Booty At, was it?
Shake That Ass Girl. Or the birthday
that was
song.
Tap,
The birthday song.
Well, interesting.
It's your birthday, get busy.
That was him?
And then Luke picked it up.
Did he have anything Tap Where the Booty At, or am I?
Yeah, Tap Do Where the Booty At. That's another one.
This is the stuff we were listening to.
He's a tap dancer, but always
as a kid, Tap Where the Booty At. Yeah. I mean, that was mild compared to Luke Skywalker into Live Group.
It was.
That was.
But I used to play that too.
Oh yeah, that shit was raunchy.
We all used to play
I have all his records. His records were like, I was like, how did this can never be released today?
Yeah.
It's far worse than.
Yeah, back when they had when you had to put labels on records saying
explicit,
this is explicit.
So just such a musical time. So you give it to Equalizer potentially.
Yeah, he's definitely there. Might
have pressed up the first,
but definitely for the city. And then you also have the Basement Boys. And those guys.
I have to say Frank Ski was huge.
Frank Ski was huge.
I love the Equalizer as much as I'd love to give it to him. Mm-hmm. When Frank Ski Doodoo Brown came out with lyrics of a guy who was on the radio, who was in the club, who produced the record.
Decca Records.
That yellow record with him rapping with the video at the sports bar. Yeah. Frank, I don't know for you, but if you removed Frank Ski from my childhood, it would have been a pretty dismal childhood for me.
Definitely different.
I would go to the sport, like you were going, I was going to the sports bar Sunday night, teen night.
Okay.
Where it was 1,000 black kids and me. And seeing dances and Frank running 2 copies of Mama Soca. Frank was so organized, he would have his mixtapes. I don't know if you ever saw the mixtape.
Oh, yeah.
They were like $30. It was a 20-minute mix.
Wow.
You were listening to it and it ended. It was like he played the record. It was like 2 records. And it's not like it was a mix.
It was like a...
You're like... no, but like... He was just dribbling it out, right? Like, so it wasn't like the whole night, an hour. It was like 3 record blend you got for $20. But it was like a nice looking tape, a nice looking cover, professional, but he was dribbling it out. Like, you're not getting the whole thing. Yeah. You got to buy the record. You got to come to the show. You got to tune in.
Exactly.
Which was very, very businesslike. And he used to live down remember, on Boston Street. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the nice townhouses.
Okay.
Somehow we stumbled across Frank Ski one day down there. And we used to go to his door. Are you Frank Ski? He'd come to the door. He'd be like, what do you want? I'm like, hi. He was such a celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy. I mean, so Frank but he was a New York guy.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
New York guy.
Yeah.
So, can you give him credit for Baltimore Club music?
Yeah, the first big Baltimore song that I would think would break is probably Crystal Waters, I'm Homeless. That's it. That's where...
Yeah, my friend was trying to tell me who we had nobody that came out of Crystal Waters.
Crystal Waters in the Basement.
For sure. That was a huge hit. And she had 100% Real Love. Yeah. That's another hit.
And then Ultra.
Yeah, Ultra.
Roxy also.
Yep. But we didn't have any rappers. I just had that conversation with this guy, DJ Nuff. I go, can you name me a rapper that came into Baltimore?
Yeah, not the same.
Philly. How many rappers I can name that came out of Philly? I mean, DC, did we get... I'm sure there was a couple.
Yeah. But Philly, you got Digable Planets.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Philly has 1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That go back into even they had 1,000 soul Teddy Pendergrass, the whole Philly, whatever it was called. Yeah. You know what I mean? A lot of music. Baltimore's very musical too. What do we have? Jennifer Holiday, right?
All the Baltimore rappers were calling out like Murphy Holmes, you know, like it's a totally different style. Like,
and now it's funny
calling out all the projects.
Well, that was still club, right? That's club music. It wasn't rap, and there was always this thing: are you club or are you rap? And rap versus club, and we were just funny enough. We were up at Hot 97, you know, number one music station in New York, Funkmaster Flex. We interviewed DJ Enough, and everything now in hip hop. We were up there. They call it Jersey Club, and it's boom, 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 boom. It's basically Baltimore Club, but Jersey guys embraced it. No, it's hood. It's a hip hop thing.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of new artists now. Like I'm talking rappers and singers and current urban artists making new music, hits on TikTok. I mean, these are record label. The biggest artists in urban are all using boom, 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 boom. There's 1 million remixes to every song. Drake has used it. Everybody has used the drum pattern, but it's called Jersey Club. It's called Jersey Club.
Yeah.
We didn't get
Yeah,
the
we
credit
lost,
for
we
it.
lost it.
We lost it. We lost control. I mean, that last era I had, Be More Gutter. I don't know if you followed that at all, but I was doing all I can to keep it. It was like a Jersey versus Baltimore. Then Philly wanted. Philly didn't even get it. Jersey ended up getting it just because they, I guess, with proximity to New York, really.
Yeah.
But it's the lineage of that. I mean, that was our. So when you look back, notable. But I love Alternate and I love Crystal Waters. But as far as Baltimore Club goes, your consciousness is really who? Not too many.
Yeah, not too many. Yeah.
And by '98, when you left, it was over, right? It was an early '90s thing. We're talking 1990, 91.
80s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
I think Frank Ski Doodoo Brown might have came out either 89 or 90.
Yeah.
And then Miss Tony had a bunch of records.
Miss Tony too.
Which was probably as big as it got as far as a local star.
Yeah, very much
so. Let's go back to you. So you're coming up in the clubs, you're shopping at 12-inch. How do you end up starting the pioneering club Meltdown? Such a great name. Love the name Meltdown for a party. And what was Meltdown a reference to?
It was definitely for taking acid.
Okay.
Frying, you're on a brain melt. So originally, I was doing all kinds of house parties. And then my friend Eric Kohler-Schmidt, we did a party at his house. I think it was a birthday party for him. That would have been in September. So we did that, and that was like really big. We're like, okay, we're going to do another one. So we looked around, and over 12-inch was a ballet studio. So we rented that. His mom and stepdad, who was a cop, they did security and ran the door for us. And we just started doing it at this ballet studio. I think we were doing it like once a month, and then we started every other week. And then one day, somebody's like, hey, somebody's at the door for you. It's this very clean-cut black gentleman. His name is Donnie Brock. And he's like, hey, I have a club up the street. I would love you guys to come. And it's just a little like, yeah, I'm a kid, he's an older man. I was like, ain't nothing weird, right? He's like, no, absolutely, we're on the up and up. So we wound up going and checking out. And if you've never seen a Richard Long sound system, or if you've never played on one, I can't even describe it. It's compared to being like the Rolls Royce of nightclubs. Paradox has an amazing system.
What is it called? Richard Long?
Richard Long. He was the guy that did it. And when Richard passed, Gary Stewart started doing GSA New York, which he eventually passed, and that got sold to Pioneer. So the Pioneer Wave is essentially a few generations off the Richard Long system. And Richard Long system in New York, if you didn't have one of those systems, you were definitely on a different level. He was the pinnacle. It was the Rolls Royce of nightclubs. And Orpheus had one too. So I had 2 Richard Long residencies before I was 18.
Was Richard Long a New York guy, or
he was a New York nightclub sound designer, from like Studio 54 kind of on into, I'm not sure what year he passed, maybe 88 or 89.
So Studio 54 had the Richard Long?
Pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Paradise Garage, I'm pretty sure had one also.
And how old were you when you stumbled upon Mr. Brock?
So I was a freshman of high school. So
which is what?
14, 15.
14, 15, you're doing your first party. How many parties in until he comes cruising through?
Oh, maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
But we were starting to really get some numbers. We were starting to get like a couple hundred people. And
how would you promote these parties?
Just flyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
At school, high school, or friends?
High school. So I went to Archbishop Curley, so I would promote there.
Catholic High? You hitting up the
Catholic High
girls?
I would do their DJ parties. Mount Carmel, I DJ'd a bunch of their parties, and then word of mouth. So then, like, you hit all the private schools, and then, like, that trickles down, and it just trickled down. We were doing Friday nights were our house parties. We always did a house party. I had somebody that could get kegs, and next thing you know, we got kegs and $3 all you can drink. Like, it just grew. It just really grew into...
House party, you're setting up how many speakers in it? What kind of system are you using for that?
Whatever you could get. Yeah, you know, sometimes it would be like, I got a turntable and you got one, and somebody else's mixer.
That was a lot of my life.
And then it was like, okay, well, you guys are, it's us three. That's because we got the gear, you know. So,
yeah.
And then there's a lot of up and comers that they were just kind of breaking through. Bobble was doing a bunch of parties. He was doing the Cube parties. Those were great parties. We also did a couple like super early parties where we just like found a building with a big empty parking lot in the back, and then somebody would pull their car up and we would alternate playing mixtapes in people's car with like 30, 40, 50 kids raving like early on. I mean, I guess we weren't even calling it raving back.
I remember maybe 92, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I wasn't as in-depth anywhere near as you were in any of that, but there was a party at Paradox. Mm-hmm. It might have just been called Rave or something else. It was one of the first things that came across my radar. I went to it. I feel like it was kind of earlier. I don't know what it was. So, what do you credit as the first official rave of Baltimore?
So that would kind of depend in really what you want to call it. Because there were things like Orbit, which was like I think Tony Japson and Scott Henry, and then at the same time, like I remember Scott did a kind of an underground party that was like electronic, and it's like a one-off, and then
maybe it was that.
That was like a very unique. Like you started seeing like people wearing baggy clothes a little bit.
I feel like it was that.
And then the first like big kind of production is I was in a group that we formed, was called Atomic Vibe. And it was, let's see who all was in it. It was myself, Bobble, LG. We did the Atomic Vibe. It was a bunch of ravers, DJs. I don't want to miss out anybody's name, but it was a core group with myself, Bobble, Gons, Steve Daft, LG, Lisa Michelle, Lisa Locklear, Dave Verdette, Adam.
Adam who?
Adam Egan, DJ Adam.
Yeah, that's right.
Brendan. I don't want to forget anybody. I'm getting old, so I kind of forgot. But it was a core group, and we did a zine called Further. And then Ultra World guys moved to town, so we did the chill out room for that, and that was like the first party that was advertised as a rave.
Ultra World was Lonnie Fisher, right?
That was Lonnie, DJ Sun.
That's right. Yeah. Where did they move from?
I think Annapolis.
They did. That's right.
I think Annapolis.
But when was I remember Catastrophic?
So Catastrophic was in DC. That was Giovanni and Fernando.
Was that pre everything Baltimore?
Rave, yes, for sure. So I was still doing Odell's, and they would do them maybe once a month at the Worcest Hall, which I think now might still be the 930 Club, but it was the WST Hall. And then we noticed in Odell's, we would do like 600, 500, 100, and then 600. It was like we'd have these down weeks. I'm like, what is going on? And then like, oh yeah, you got to go to Catastrophic. I don't even remember the first one that I went to, but yeah, that was it was different because it was multiple DJs. They're kind of from different little crews, strictly electronic. So they definitely, and they had the wonderful logo that looks like it says RAVE, looks like a crosshair. And they really like anchored for us. We were definitely attached to DC with that, you know, and Scott would play there, Tom T, John Philippe, a bunch. That was like the DC scene. But we would start moving around. We'd start doing these road trips, and it would be like bus trips up to New York to Storm Rave.
Who was Storm Rave? Frankie Bones?
Storm Rave was
Adam X?
Bones, Adam X,
Amazing.
Heather Hart, and then
Frankie Bones and Adam X. How good are those guys?
Absolutely.
My God. They were like former hip hop guys, right? That went berserk, and I feel like they were like, the Brooklyn rave thing
Bones
was crazy.
Breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, those are, I don't know what number he's on now, but probably in the hundreds.
So Storm Rave was the origin of New York rave in Brooklyn.
Definitely. And
On your radar, you were coming up to go to those. What were those like?
Those were probably I don't know exactly how LA was, but for me, like that Storm Party, I think the one that I went to was the New Music Seminar one. That was phenomenal. And then they had the one at the Bridge. I remember going up to Thunderdome. They did that for a while. It's like all these like crazy parties, and there's so many people, and it's super competitive. And then also in New York at the time was Scotto, who's from Baltimore. He used to do Scotto Sinful Sundays. And he did a party before he moved on. So that's another Baltimore guy. I
didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was a light guy, right? Became a light guy or was a light guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the New York scene was way different because there's so many more people, and then you have people from all over the world coming there. So, and then that's where all the distributors for, at least on the East Coast for record stores, that's where the good ones were.
Storm Rave ever book any Baltimore guys?
Scott, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I at least a couple bus trips up to New York with.
Mind-boggling as even me as a young kid, and having already had my DJ hip hop thing and the club thing, and you know what I mean, in Baltimore Club and Frank Ski and that whole world, and then you had your whole world locally, and then you had like the people that Scott and these guys were bringing in top world-class electronic kids, right?
Kids, yeah.
Teenagers from other countries in other states, and the organization. And then they were getting booked around. I mean, it was incredible.
Definitely.
I didn't know once again a song all night.
Yeah.
But it was for me the place to be. The music was flawless. Everybody was there. All the girls from every county was there. Everybody you knew was there, and it was just an impressive. It was an impressive event weekly, constantly, right? For most of my childhood.
Definitely.
For young people to go to. I don't know of anything of the equivalent. And people don't even understand how important rave was to alternative music festival. This is pre-Lollapalooza, pre-festivals, pre-everything. Like rave set the
EDC,
tone.
For sure.
And rave, this era, like set the tone for the last 20 years of electronic music. You know,
Even
and
more
Baltimore,
than that, yeah.
and Baltimore was a major.
We were definitely a spot.
I mean, I'm sure they say Baltimore was a big spot on the Chitlin circuit back in the day. It was like the northernmost city of the South, right, on the Mason-Dixon.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure it got its props, and whoever came through of that era, James Brown, whoever was coming up on that southern run. But I feel like for rave...
They all played at Odell's.
Yeah, did they?
Yeah, on the second floor, there were autographed pictures of all the people that played there.
Crazy.
It was like, I mean...
I didn't realize Odell's had a big, 70s run and 60s run. Like, how long that club went on
in the
for.
70s, I'm not sure. They opened up definitely in the 70s.
Okay, 70s run. Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, big nightlife town for a long time.
Big nightlife, yeah.
Then
you had, the DJs there were like Wayne, who started Paradox.
Right.
He's definitely, he's been holding down Baltimore for years.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. And, I mean, even the Hammerjacks run with whoever played there, from probably Guns N' Roses early shows to House of Pain, and I don't know, I don't remember seeing many. You see any Hammerjack shows?
A couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more rock. It's not really my...
I mean, I did, my first show I went to as a kid was geez, I think it was Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Maiden at Baltimore Civic Center.
Wow. Mine was probably...
We only stayed for, my dad, like, he didn't know what he was taking us to.
1986, Depeche Mode.
Wow. Yeah, this one, there was just a cloud of weed smoke. We went in, there was a life-size, a giant Freddy. Mm-hmm. It was like 5 ambulances lined up. Everybody, it started, my dad's like, we're out of here. It was insane. It might have been 83, something like that. But so what, now you got Meltdown going. Yeah, no, not yet. So this guy pulls up, he's like, hey, you want to work with me?
He's like, yeah, check out my...
You're a freshman in high school.
Yeah, so...
you want to listen to my world-class sound system?
It blew my mind, the sounds. It's just like beyond. 3 turntables on rubber bands and a reel-to-reel. They had the Rain MP24 mixer.
Did you throw on a record? You bring any records with you?
Oh, always brought records.
No, like the one you got to test it out.
No,
they had records there.
Somebody had records up there, and they're like, "Hey, listen to this." Like,
what I remember. Did they throw on any idea? How it was?
I know what the record cover looks like. It's like red, and it's like hand drawn. It's a gatefold. It's like red and black, like a mountain or something. And it was like a hip house.
Well, okay.
The hip house.
Okay.
Stuff like, I forgot what it was. It's like a mega mix. It was like the whole side was one mega mix, and then the other side or the other record was all the single songs.
Okay, cool.
Something like that. And I remember them playing that. Yeah, it was definitely...
They were like, next party, we're over here now.
Yeah, so let's try it out. So we had an issue or something the first week, and we never fully opened. But people lined up. So, like, people thought that we were full. And then, so the next week, we're like, okay, we finally got everything together. And from then on, it was pretty much packed.
And what was the capacity of Odell's?
Probably a lot less than what we packed in there. It was 2 floors. So sometimes we would go up to the second floor. Kind of depends on what was going on. You know, sometimes there was one gig going on downstairs and we were upstairs. You know, a couple times Morgan State did something with Pope and OG downstairs and we were upstairs. And that's upstairs is like an amphitheater with seats on the side and like a little tiny DJ pillbox kind of a booth.
Well, I don't think I've ever saw that room.
It's a huge room.
Wow.
It's a huge room.
Wow.
Somebody told me that the roof fell in, and a huge basement too. Like
wow.
Crazy. Like you wouldn't even huge.
Yeah, I checked you there a few times. I was able to get there on whatever night it was. Was it Fridays, right?
Fridays was
the younger night.
The younger night. Yeah, there was always problems with people. I mean, there was definitely a rougher crowd. I think that was the main college night, but it was packed. It was always packed, and some of the nicest people I've ever met that were working there. Just like genuine. I just really felt at home right from the beginning. Yeah. And people like look at me like, you played Odell. I was like, isn't that a black club? Well, it's a club owned by some black people, like, I guess. And then I started learning the history of it, and then I realized that, wow, I really was honored by getting that as a
famous club.
That famous club, and it just worked. It's like everything was lining up perfect back then, but it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I had several people who would take me to different gigs. This is before I was even had a car. You know, like sometimes like one car's got my records and I'm in the other car with like 3 or 4 other people and like showing up like early, and that was like, you know, like carrying records is always 3 or 4 crates to every gig, because like, I mean, sometimes it'd be like I'd be spinning for like 5 hours, and that's definitely, I mean, I played on 3 1200s before I played on 2, and the sound guys, they're super nice. They showed me like different things, and like I just absorbed as much info that I could, and this is a wonderful time. The sound system was just, I can't even say enough about it.
Meltdown is a word for tripping on acid, basically, right? Your brain melting.
It's
some kind of homage to
things
dropping
sometimes
acid.
seem like they're melting, so that just seemed like a perfect title for it. It kind of started with the Grateful Dead would come around, and then like people would come around like, hey, we saw the Dead, like, here, try this is some acid, like, okay, wow. Like, it's like it adds a perspective. It's like you're seeing things from two angles. So definitely was an awakening. Things became colorful. And definitely my mentality changed from being like more thuggish to nicer. Not trying to get up or over on whatever, or it's just a whole total 180 in how I changed. Just mentality. As rave started, the plur, peace, love, unity, and respect started becoming real big. It was definitely a change in how people were reacting to each other. Like, I could go to a party and see 1,000 people and no one would ever mention anything about politics. They would be like, did you hear that last DJ? Or, man, that breakdown was just I was crying and so happy I'm crying. Or it was just a total change of like, from what like the Baltimore Club kind of perspective and what that culture came with it. And
Baltimore's not a love, peace, and happiness town.
Yeah, I mean, other than being Charm City.
Where that came from. I think that's a joke.
But it definitely, I mean, you got to understand, it's
Harm City, right?
It's a lot of black people, and they don't forget what happened with them, and there's a reason they're angry, and it's understandable.
Yeah, people forget Baltimore is when we grew up, it was always 86% African American, which gives you an interest. One of the few places around, I don't know how many, I'm sure other places are like that, but Baltimore was one that was, you were in the 15%.
In one of the northernmost cities.
Yeah.
And you're south of the Mason-Dixon line, so it definitely, as a kid, you don't really perceive that. I have so many just amazing friends in Baltimore that are black, and I didn't really get the grasp of how things really were, or why people were angry until much later. I mean, with my grandfather, it didn't matter what color you were or anything. Like, he would see somebody that looked like they needed $5. He'd be like, here's $5, and that was my perspective, The other thing too is like Baltimore had a lot of skinheads, and a couple of them didn't like the fact that my dad wasn't from this country, and that was just a little awkward. It took me a while to get through that, but I just kind of pushed through.
So the early acid days, though, like what that began during Meltdown, pre-Meltdown?
Probably pre-Meltdown.
And then how did you team up? I mean, you and Frank, I always had you guys in different worlds to me, like the graffiti world and then like the club world, but then I forget that he was so dominant in every world.
Yeah, he's definitely.
And he's such a force. I mean, how do you describe Frankie Arthur? I mean, one of the most unique people. You've been in Cali for 20 years.
Yeah.
Have you met other people like Frank?
Not very many.
Not many. What makes Frank so unique?
He's fearless. And he is very dedicated to his art. No matter where he's putting something up, like, it's going up,
Something about the spirit of that guy is...
It is. It's just no matter how wild or crazy, like, something about him, he's he's definitely a unique individual.
And like, not really out for commercial, out for fame, but got plenty of it.
Got plenty of it.
I mean, he made his money doing so he could live, but he's not trying to get rich. I could be wrong.
Not really, just...
I mean, magnetic, million girls, million followers, right? He was almost like, I mean, you remember Adam?
Yep.
For us as graffiti kids, you know, Frank was Axl Rose, or some, you know, like, I don't know, Nikki Sixx or something, and Adam was Prince. That's the way they were like, but those two were like polar beef, not beef, but like rivals, competitors, like who's the better, best, whatever, you know. I'm more talented, I'm more artistic, or I'm more up, you know what I mean? And both had their, you know, whatever they were involved in. Frank particularly, I didn't realize you and him were like legitimately the acid kingpins of Baltimore.
We both enjoyed it, and...
Like, how did that acid friendship start, and where did it grow? Where did it grow to?
Well, I mean, you know, definitely a few times we went to some Dead shows and just like tried to find somebody with something, you know, like...
Not for the music.
Not mainly, because I like so that's guitar, and you know, club music is like a 909 or an 808, so it's like
No 4 on the floor with Jerry Garcia.
One's the analog and the other's the digital.
What about Shakedown Street? That kind of has a little vibe to it.
It's got a great vibe. I mean, I've followed him for a while. Like I don't know how many, maybe.
I'm still only a Touch of Grey. That's great. I have the 45 of that. Touch of Grey, great single, great song.
Yeah, and I mean, just the other day was what 60-year anniversary.
Was it?
Yeah, up in.
I can only Uncle John's Band. That's about it.
Yeah.
I only know the hits.
I know a few.
But so you guys specifically going to Dead shows to try to find the plug,
Find something, yeah.
find the connect,
and you know.
So you're like, this is where the epicenter of acid is.
We find a couple people, and then like they give us, we get whatever they had, and then they're like, hey, we'll let you know when we come back around, and then like they come around, and
You're like, we need more.
and it just got to the point where like somebody was always coming around, somebody's always like, hey, we got this, like whatever, and I just knew a lot of people when people were asking me all the time, so I was just kind of like, hey, yeah, tell this for that. And then we definitely had for a couple times at Odell's somebody show up and just like try to start selling stuff, and we're like, yeah, that doesn't, we don't go for that. You're not.
So when you first started Odell's, was there any acid in the Odell's, or no? Was it just
people were probably on it, but I wasn't slinging out. I wasn't selling out of the booth.
Right, but that was happening though.
It was happening.
There wasn't the need for it. It was part of the music and acid. Went hand in hand.
Yeah.
Early days of rave was acid, not ecstasy. Ecstasy hadn't come around yet.
It was around. Yeah, it was around. I mean, if I would go look for it, I would go to Signal like on a Saturday night to meet somebody, and Saturday night was like the gay night, and I was at Odell's, and she's like, hey, we'll meet you here, like, you know, here's a couple things here and there, but it's more expensive. You know, acid is more of like a blue collar price. You know, for $5 you can like have a great night, and like liquor's more than that. You know, so like a bottle of Mad Dog is like, probably $5 also, and you're gonna wake up with a hell of a hangover, and probably want to get in a fight, and who knows what else. And
I remember hearing, there's a kid tales of books of acid. This one had a book of acid. This one was, how many hits are in a book of acid?
About 1,000.
Oh,
about
wow.
1,000, yeah.
And you could sell them for $5 each. Ish.
I mean,
so that's about $5,000 a book of acid ish.
No, I mean wholesale price is definitely a lot different. Like $1.50 or something, and then whoever the person,
right? Because you're selling a book to a distributor. Also, it's a distribution price.
Different people, different things.
Right. And so there was you, Frank. If I was to draw this pyramid, the plug up here, the mystery plug, and then how many sub distributors underneath?
I don't know, like what he had.
He had all of West Baltimore.
Yeah, he had the West Side.
Did you guys divide it, West Side, East Side?
No, but somebody said something funny, like Frank's like the Elvis of the West, and you're like Elvis of the East, and like I guess and I mean we didn't do a crazy amount of business, but we did a lot of parties together. I'm sure I probably got a couple hits from him. He probably got some from me. Like, it just evolved.
And you were able to do good business with Frank, which is a real testament.
I've had no bad business with him, and people are like, "How is that possible?" Like
that's a big thing. Many parties that I DJ for Frank, he ran off with the money.
Yeah,
I couldn't even get my $80.
Yeah, but I was just around later when he came back.
But you guys, who controlled the connection to the plug? You? Who maintained that relationship?
Probably eventually me.
Yeah, maybe that's why it was good, because he was too lazy to deal with the plug.
I don't think he just cared about it.
Right. But then ultimately, you had the leverage there, and that was a symbiotic. For him, it has to be. I mean, I think everything's has to be a reason. You know what I mean?
Well, I've always.
Tony's good. Let Tony deal with that, and I just won't rip off Tony. But
I mean, I tried to.
I can't rip off Tony. Tony controls the product.
I, even to today, try to be very fair in whatever I do.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, make a ton of money, as long as my bills are covered. I mean, sure, it's great having, money in the bank where you could do anything, or at least feel that you can do anything. But back then, I mean, regardless of how much money I made, I probably spent it on a party, and I would always have my envelopes filled as soon as I got them, as soon as people got paid.
People don't realize the parties you were doing, you had to bring in a sound system. It wasn't a rinky-dink sound. It was expensive sound. It was a sound man. It was lights. It was the room. It was the DJs. It was everything.
Bringing Gary Stewart sound system down for my raves. All my raves we used Gary. It's like $9,000
right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
We're talking in the early '90s. That's
just for sound
more now. It's like $30,000
just sound.
Now, probably.
And then you have lighting,
right?
And then you have DJs, and then you have a building, and insurance.
You would get insurance.
Absolutely get insurance.
Did you do any illegal parties?
Well,
what about illegal raves?
Even some of the illegal ones, if you're renting a building for someone, you put your name down, you get insurance. Otherwise, if somebody gets hurt, you're on the line. Absolutely insurance. Most.
Did you ever do a rave where you didn't rent the building?
Oh, sure.
You just showed up in some building. I mean, what's the definition of an illegal rave? It's not when you rent a building and get insurance.
No, I mean, we did them in parking lots. We did them in buildings that were left open, or somebody might have opened it up before and it just happened to be open and no one there. And we also did something that they don't do anymore. We did checkpoints. You got a flyer, and the flyer had an address. And when you got to the address, you paid that person, and you got a map to where you needed to go.
Wow.
So, we did them in crazy places, wherever,
And how big did the asset operation get? How long did you and him run for?
It wasn't very long when he was around. I don't know if
Did you continue on after him? What happened to Frank's involvement? He went away or something?
I don't know, probably.
Yeah, he was always in and out of something.
Yeah, I didn't get caught up in that until I didn't really get locked up for anything else until after I moved to California in '98. So it just kind of at first it was like, hey, this guy's gonna meet, and he was the guy, and then people were like, yeah, I don't like him, we'd rather do business with you. And then I don't know, all of a sudden people was like, hey, meet my friend, he wants to meet you, because I try to do good business, because if I treat you how I want to be treated in business, sometimes I would do a party, we wouldn't have necessarily all the money, or I would have to borrow money, and I put all the money in the envelope, here's your pay, it's all there, but we really lost our ass. And then sometimes people would be like, here, only take half. But I would never be like, you're only getting paid half.
Yeah. Oh, nightclubbing, my God. The parties I did where, a couple parties, they were like, you're not getting paid. I would tell someone that when they're not, take the turntable. Take something.
Definitely.
I was always taking something.
That's always been the mentality.
The next day they're like, I didn't take it. I don't know what. I didn't take your turntables. I don't know. There's a couple parties where I was like, A couple of people told me, come up to DC, we're going to pay you X amount. House party in DC. They were like, no money. I go pack up all my equipment. I brought my turntables, everything. I said to the guys, get the car, get it out front, put all my shit in the car. We acted like we left. Party went on. We went and took everyone else's records.
Yeah.
Took all their records left. You took all my records? Yeah.
There was one party that I did. It was a Halloween party. We lost money, and I didn't have the money to pay the sound people. And somehow, when they packed up, they accidentally packed my records in the truck. But when I paid them, and they showed up the next time, like, hey, somebody accidentally put these in our wire crate. So yeah, some places are. Yeah, you got to be a gangster if you're going to be doing.
Yeah, coming up as a DJ in Baltimore on my level, because I didn't really fit into your world, right? I didn't fit into a lot. I was doing house parties. I was doing hodgepodge shit. Any early, you probably know, any recollection of little Aaron, like when I got on your trajectory? Obviously, you didn't. Did you know me pre-DJing? You probably only knew me when I was like starting in.
When you started DJing, yeah, I forgot who told me, like, hey, this guy's up and coming. He's a hip hop guy. Like, he's a youngster. And I was like, yeah, young. He's like, yeah, like way younger than you or me got started. I think it might have been maybe Bobble. Because we used to do a bunch of little parties, like, yeah, and then I remember you popping up, and then like you're like, we did some of the shaking the house parties, like, and we did those other parties, like I think it was like Lombard Street by the fire station.
Yep, we did a few parties.
And then at the Baltimore Street, that house, or Lombard Street, where a couple of those guys lived. When we did a bunch right there, like on the
I remember always being like flirting with the idea of just going full house rave, because I could mix, scratch, everything. I played a lot of those breaks. Like there was like, I don't know, 25% of what I was playing in a Baltimore club set was UK rave anyway.
Yeah.
There was a couple other up and coming DJs in rave that were just killing it with like a half of what I was already playing. But I was so bound by hip hop, it was hard for me to just go. And the rave at those days, I remember specifically, it was like a very, you correct me if I'm wrong, it was a very anti-hip-hop world. It doesn't matter now, it was ancient history, but I remember feeling, almost like uncomfortable to go in a way, because it was like, we're not hip-hop. Even though we wear, Adidas tracksuits and shell toes, and kind of dress old school hip-hop, but it not being hip-hop. And listen, we were just talking about it with DJ Enough. There was a large chunk of time where hip-hop couldn't tour, hip-hop couldn't do major shows, and it was kind of the same time as this, where hip-hop had a bad rep, because whatever had happened in the 80s with, riots and NWA and whatever, there was a long point, and that was kind of like, oh, here comes the rise of rave hip-hop. It had records were coming out, but it was definitely underground hip hop.
Yeah, it was definitely underground. Yeah, definitely the early rave scene. Because I played techno for a while, but I also liked house, and it was very difficult to get booked if you played just house in a techno thing. Like, no, we don't play house. And then kind of the same things about breaks, because you have like, I guess they call it like hardcore, which is a kind of drum and bass, kind of jungle, a little faster speed. But slow breaks, people too are like, nah, we don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear house. And then house got popular, and then kind of morphed in, and then breaks definitely picked up and ran with it for a while. But it definitely was biased towards hip hop.
And then I remember these pivotal moments where Josh Wink dropped Digable Planets in the middle of a house set or a rave set or a techno set, which was like revolutionized. It was like genre snapping. Yeah. Or someone would tell me I wasn't at a rave, but some friend I was at a rave, and they would report back to me, some New York rave dude dropped Onyx. Like, there's usually a slow song that could mix.
Yeah.
They went into some 60 BPM song, and it was like madness. So it's funny, because then it was like, hip-hop's kind of like making its way. But then even for the longest time, remember with me, where could I play it at Fever? I got to play outside.
Outside, yeah.
Or the chill out room or the basketball court. And I mean, those were still great sets and great times.
Yeah.
And packed.
Yeah. And then the basement at the vault.
Forever the vault. I mean, DC was a little bit, different.
Yeah.
Or outside at Wet.
The Edge.
Or the Edge. And it really, for me, was a breakthrough moment. I had my mixtapes, right? I was trying to break into whatever. I don't know what year. This had been senior year of high school, junior year of high school might have been. I'm outside of Orpheus. Do you remember DOG? They didn't last very long. Dog Productions.
I think
they did one big party called Mongrel. There's a guy named GJ, some Ovid, and some other, I don't know who the J was. DC kids. And I think this is when I got on your radar, actually, because I remember you hitting me up shortly thereafter. And they came, I had given them a tape. They gave me a call. I met them on, it's out, leaving, coming, Orpheus, your party probably. Gave them I get a call, oh, we're doing this big party called Mongrel. I still have the flyer. I didn't make the flyer because they already made them. Like, we want you to come and spin. It's like when they had, there was a couple DC dudes that were at Crossing Line, or Ani.
Play hip-hop. He played hip-hop and jungle, drum and bass.
And I think they had me on some lineup in some room, and I went on early. And it was packed, but it was like an abandoned warehouse behind tracks.
Okay, I remember those.
Massive spot.
Yeah.
And I was like so nervous, I did terrible. And then I stayed on, I'm not going home. I went and got a 40, had a 40, and went back on and just killed it. And it became the set that opened me up. Then I was at level 5. I was out Z Alley, Z Club. I was at all
I forgot
over
about that. We did that level 5.
Level 5. Yeah, that I was. But I was Z Alley, Z Club, Spy Club, Fifth Column, Basement, Often, all kinds. All of a sudden, I was like I had become like I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I was at like Ultra World Book. I mean, remember they did the one on the mountain somewhere. I can't remember. My mother let me go.
The camper. Yeah.
I stayed at all night. I was like, it was a real rave.
Delay played.
No, it wasn't. But it was me and Ani, and Ani didn't bring his needles. And he's like, "Can I borrow your needles?" And I was like, "No," because for my whole life they were like, "You're good, but you're not Ani." Like Ani's the man. Ani. And then I was like, "Okay." And then finally we got the guy. I was like, "You know what? You're not going to spin."
Yeah.
And I did. It was just like this the summer before I went to college. It was like. It was like, and we were doing the parties with Remedy. Remember?
Remedy, oh yeah.
We were Remedy was like its own ghetto rave world.
Yeah.
That wasn't bad.
Ani used to play a lot at NASA.
Oh yeah.
Scotto's party.
Crazy.
Which I went to several of those. It's phenomenal. It's a different level.
I got to meet Ani years later. I don't know where he is these days, but
probably New York.
Yeah, he was on the kind of the celebrity DJ scene for a while, but yeah, that was a good time. Then all of a sudden, I hate to say it, but then all of a sudden after that Deep Mongrel, now you know what's funny? DJ Who, when he first started DJing, they were talking pre everything. I don't even know when you would credit him as a starter. He was after you for sure, I think. He didn't come up at the same time as you, because I knew him as a soccer kid. Yeah, I knew him from other shit. Like, I knew you as a DJ ever since I knew you were a DJ. Your neighborhood, you were in the club, you were doing your thing. I knew him, he had a different start in my memory, and I have a pretty good memory. He was like suburban soccer kid, hanging with Richard DeSantis, hanging with those dudes.
Howard Hall guys.
Yeah, and they came to my house. Him, Richard, and one of their buddies came to my house, like, I couldn't even tell you the year. I had a pyramid mixer, and I'll tell you, my first mixer. Nice. And I could tell you, they're like, we want to get into DJing. We borrow some stuff, and I had already moved on. So I was like, here, take this pyramid mixer. It might have been an old Newmark. I don't remember. Yeah. And they had no records. I go, here's a few. Gave them a few Strictly Rhythm records, and off they went. Yeah. And I heard they were going into businesses and shit, saying, you want us to DJ your party? And this was like jocks. They were jocks. And then I love to watch Chip, as he metamorphosized into DJ Who. And he did very well for a while. Yeah. For a while, Shaken Not Stirred, and he was another one running around playing Booty House, right, too, because I would run into him at Music Liberated. I'm like, damn, you guys are keeping this freaking, him and Charles, they were making so much money. They were buying, like, they would walk out with, like, I'm like, damn, man, you have any, like, do you just like everything? Or are you just making so much money that you need so many records to play because you're playing so much? I was in New York at the time. I had already kind of I was going back and forth, so I was like, whatever. But it was just funny to see, you know.
Yeah, towards
Those
later
guys
on, I would always go, because after 95, I probably did most of my shopping in New York.
Yeah.
Having an account, I could go shop at the distributor. So I'd go up there and I don't remember if it was Edie's or Nemesis at the time. And then Matt had Fury after, and we would go see that. We would go hang out with Matt. He was Scott Richmond's roommate. And he really helped us with Gargoyle a lot, like, because he's a really good salesman. He used to sell, but I would go up there and it would be like Edie and Don and Onions, Dave Trance. They were all working at the distributors, calling all the stores. I was like, oh, wow, this is like, now I see why these guys are booking everywhere, because they're ones with fresh from the UK, from Europe, you know, they're importers. So I definitely picked up some, like, concepts of how that was, but I would mostly shop up there, and I would go up there and just, like, maybe every other month and get, like, a box full, or like buy a crate, fill it, and then, like, a box.
Yeah.
And you know, that would last me a couple months. I would go through, and I had a lot of white labels, and just
Will you stay the night, or you just come right back?
Sometimes I stay up there for a couple days.
Nice.
We would stay, hang out, maybe go to a club or something. Depends on who I went up there with and when I would go. Yeah, it all varied.
How did that scene escalate and then kind of dissolve?
Well, that's kind of I don't know about all those guys. I mean,
even Baltimore, even like that Fever went on for a while.
Fever went on
Sunday
for a long
Mass
time.
happened, Buzz happened.
Yeah.
Was that 10 years or more? 15 years?
Oh, I think Fever is one of the longest running electronic music nightclubs ever in the United States, for sure. They, you know, I'd already moved in 98. Don and I went to California to do an album with Kyoki, and my girlfriend at the time, we were kind of together, kind of not, because I moved out here, and she passed away, and that, my intentions in California weren't move. It was go work on record, because I still had a house here. And then after that, I just, like, something about every time I came here, it was like bad shit would happen to me. I would just, like, get super depressed. It's like too many memories associated with that. I just, like, I was lost. I was lost from not to, like, 2001 or 2002 do I really, like, there's a gap that I lost. I just party way too much. Like, I'm just overwhelmed with being overwhelmed. You know, just, like, was stuck. And I finally got through it. But yeah, that was some rough times, those first couple years.
End of the 90s, right, kind of, for you?
The early 2000s, yeah. I had supposed to be doing another party, a pickup party at Odell's, and Kyoki was going to come play, and then there were some issues with, like, I don't even know what, but he didn't come, and then I missed the first night, and then finally, you know, he took off in the limo and had my records in there. So how can I take off without my record? I had my flight case. We had to track him down, and then he was already gone on a gig somewhere else, and then I had to cancel one night, and then I came back here. Everybody was pissed because I was supposed to play at one little bar that's in, like, Greektown that was there, and I just missed it. Like, I'm not making it. And then when I came to do the Odell party, it was like no one showed up. A couple people. It was like, damn, that was it. That was like, I almost, like, felt like I burnt my Baltimore bridge. And it just took a lot of effort to kind of toy that back. A lot of people were mad at me when I left because I just took off. It was, you know, like, I was doing a lot of parties, record company, just whatever, slinging whatever, if it was weed or acid. And a lot of people were for me or were with me. And like, yeah, I kind of hurt a lot of people. And I mean, I didn't do it to cut anybody out. I actually told Don, hey, if we get a deal, he thought I would never, ever move. So if we get a deal, I'll go. If you think that's the best thing, I'll do it. And I did. And then he wasn't super happy with how things were going out there. And then he left. And then I stuck around for a while. And then, I mean, any DJ that's partying, that's on tour or touring, if you can't get them to show up on time and be in the studio ready to work and not, you know, come after being up for a couple days, and like, it's very hard, especially as a young kid, like to wrangle that in, especially when I was already sliding down that, you know, LA chewed me up and spit me out for sure. It took me that was a tough learn. But when we did show up out there and we were working with Kilky, he introduced us to all the people who were doing clubs and in the scene out there. So that was really great. It was like a transition. Like, the people we know out there were kind of the movers and shakers, just like how we were out here. So that really kind of helped me in getting my footing out in LA, even though probably other than a couple little parties, but must have been about 3 or 4 years, I had a pirate radio station out there. It was called Streets Radio. I didn't start it, but I acquired it from the guy that did. And before me and my partner Dan at the time took over, the big act on there was Juan Atkins. He had like a night. He had Saturday night, and then when he had quit with it, then me and Dan took over Saturday night, and we called it The Zone. And you could listen to it on the radio, and then come to his house, which is a big loft, and you hear it live. And that's the first time I ever started talking. I never talked at the club, you know, like it's not a strip club DJ where you're like, and next on no, it's like all just blending, mixing.
Yeah.
So that was super interesting. I mean, the craziness of what we did, like dress up like construction workers and like cut a link and add our lock to a chain so we could drive up there during the day in a truck and put our antenna up on the repeater, like buried cables. It's craziness what we did. Like, it's almost a movie in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I held it down out there for a while. We had people would come to town and we'd be like, hey, come play for a radio. And we got some kind of recognition because I started getting all these imports. All these labels from UK started sending me stuff again. So then I had like another little pickup and was starting to do things and getting ready to do big parties. And then in 2009, I wound up getting in trouble, and that really stopped everything for me. Like, I lost all the records that I had in California, which was like 30 or 40 crates maybe, all my studio, a store in business, a girlfriend at the time, every cent that I had, like I had nothing left. A couple of people saved, like Don had a suitcase with all my ASR 10 discs. That's why I have the tap stuff. And some watches and a couple colognes and a couple pairs of shoes. That's all I got.
Wow.
I had lost a lot.
What happened then? What was the...
Well, I got locked up. I got put in storage. And it was at, not my friend's house, but my friend had a condo, and it was at his neighbor's storage, because in the basement every unit had one. But then he got shipped back. His parents sent him to Korea to get married, and the guy that owned that died, and they didn't know whose stuff it was. They tried contacting me on all those numbers, and if I would still have that, I'd probably be loaded right now, because way back then I used to hack satellite dish cards to give you all the channels, and in 2009 they just started only accepting Bitcoin. So I had like about 319 of them sitting, the codes for that on that computer. So yeah, that was a little crazy times.
Oh my God, I didn't expect that.
When you lose that and you're gone when you lose all of your records, I mean, I knew what they looked like and what they sound like. When you lose your catalog and then you lose all your stuff and you're away for that much time, like, it was very difficult to like reestablish like who I was, because kids who were around for 6 or 7 years, like, never met, they could be going hard for 6 or 7 years and they're like, oh, we don't know who you are.
No,
you've not been around. Like, yeah, not.
I mean, that music moved at light warp speed at that point.
It did, yeah.
And it changed, and it became, as everything else, new, and then UK, then Euro, then Amsterdam, then dance music. If you're not even, I remember talking to Feelgood about it, where he, AM only, because at one point we were both on AM only, and I was kind of getting gigs because that was the Baltimore Club wave, and he had been on AM only he's like one of the first people ever on AM only. Mm-hmm. And it was all, like, he's like, damn, Aaron, like, all the promoters want now is European DJs or Dutch DJs. He's like, they don't get, unless you're from Netherlands.
Yeah.
In his world, it didn't matter anymore. That whole syndicate, even that he's never left.
She knew a lot of people. She was from DC scene and used to go to New York scene, and she actually had a couple other DJs from Baltimore that she would like take care of their contracts, because that kind of helped when somebody else negotiates for you.
Always helps,
even if it's super minor.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I think we had bought a bunch of like 40 Nakamichi tape decks right when the CD burners were coming out. So we bought all the old tapes. So we were still doing tapes. So I could do one tape. I think I could put it on double speed. It would record both sides of 39 copies at double speed.
I had a Telex at one point. I think it was a Telex, right?
Yeah.
Those were amazing.
Yeah, these were Nakamichis. Yeah. We had to get the little wheels and the little things got a capstan replaced on them, and then they were great again for however many 1,000 hours or whatever. But that really helped, because like, I could tell DJ, hey, I can give you 50 cassettes with J cards and shells for whatever in 2 days, or and like, otherwise people are in there with the double one at a time, like.
That was game changing, high speed dubbing.
Yeah, and then the change for us was we worked with a guy named Leslie Samuels. He was working for a designer, Cindy DeLau in New York, and he got a compilation of our Gargoyle stuff that I DJ'd and mixed together for a CD, and that was for the 1996, it was 96, because we took those to the Winter Music Conference, and everybody was handing out cassettes, and we were handing out CDs, and people were just like, oh, you like made it to the next level before most. And then when we got our album, we wound up going with Steve Janis at CLR, which had DJ Cool at the time, but we had kind of jumped on that deal quick. We kind of knew him. We already knew, like, we were only getting what it was. It wasn't the best deal, but it was something right now. And the album was really great. It was a real good concept. But we had several other bigger offers from other people that probably would have changed things drastically. Yeah. One thing I noticed is in LA, the people that came up there, they would get like publishing deals and people would like throw cash out. I'm like, here's a couple grand to like see what you can do. Like, we didn't have that, not to that level, and they were doing it for a lot of people, and some took off and some didn't. So it's just a little bit different, because definitely LA, New York, Nashville or US is like big music spots, but I would say like LA is a little more film, New York is probably more hip hop. Nashville is more like country, blues, and not solely, but generalizing. One thing I definitely noticed, I played at a party in LA in '95, and they had so many parties going on at the same time. The promoters didn't all talk, but they were all like big parties, like a couple thousand people here, there were just lots. And I was like, wow, there's so many people. And LA's like, you could drive and you don't even realize you go through like 3 or 4 cities.
Yeah.
And in Baltimore, there would be like a neighborhood, but in LA is a city, and you had just so many people.
I feel like LA's, like you said, way more next level than New York. Because it's West Coast. West Coast is just different. At least New York, you're still East Coast. You're a couple hours from home. LA, you're a long way from home, pal.
Definitely a long way from home.
It's the Wild Wild West still.
For sure.
And it's, you got Mexico right there. You got a whole different level of hunger. And I've never felt comfortable in LA or safe in LA.
LA also, too, it seems like they had different connections with the UK rave scene than the East Coast did, or at least that we did. I mean, a lot of people would come through. Scott definitely brought that quality of artists around. I don't even know what Baltimore would be like if Orbit or Fever never came around. Like Scott if
a couple people didn't exist, the whole thing wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
Because Ultra was great, but everybody else was a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Another piece of the puzzle, certifiably Milk Crate Baltimore edition. Early days, Tony Pegas, revolutionary, early electronic EDM pioneer, club guy, scene maker, party maker, legendary party animal, legendary Baltimore guy. Thank you for sharing this conversation, my man.
It's great to be able to sit down with you.
To be continued, certifiably. Out.